Closed captioning is brought to you by Insect Defend Patch. Deep-free protection from biting insects.
You know, it's amazing, even these little, well, they're not that little a sunfish, they're pretty good-sized sunfish, fight pretty hard on a light rod. What gets me is how beautiful they are. Have a look at this fish, a close-up. I'm going to hold him up so you can get a really good look at him. They call them sunfish because they're so yellow. Here, let me stand up to give you a better look. Isn't that gorgeous? You can see he's got that little flap on his gill plate that's multicolored. Beautiful vermiculations, those are those lines that go all the way down. And a nice yellow belly. So there's your classic sunfish. And look at the way he inhaled that jig. He wasn't going to get off. You know, it's funny because so many people ice fish on Lake Simcoe, and right now we're fishing. This is Cook's Bay that you see behind me. And in the wintertime, one of the most popular fish here is perch. You know, a lot of guys come here for jumbo perch. Of course, they get whitefish and lake trout as well. But the one thing that you don't see them catching are the other, like the rock bass and the sunfish. And I don't know if it's because they're not fishing shallow enough or whether just those fish aren't as aggressive enough in the wintertime. You know, it's amazing when you think of it, how productive Lake Simcoe is. It's so close to a pretty large population base. You know, we're talking about Toronto. You think about all the game fish that you can get here, the lake trout that you can catch winter and summer, the whitefish, the big jumbo perch like this. Now that perch is around 11 inches. That's a really nice fish. Now, these fish can reach weights of about, I'd say, almost 3 pounds. So some of the biggest perch that I've seen from Lake Simcoe have been in the 15-inch range. So those are pretty big perch, but that's a perfect eating size. You see, it's got a lot of meat on them. And you know what? I've been keeping some of the smaller ones, so it's good that I'm not keeping just the big perch. You know, if I had heavier fishing rods in my hand, I couldn't hold 3 of them like this in my fingers. But because these are ultralight, they're very lightweight because they're designed to be fished with light line between 4 and 8 pound test and very small lures. If you were to look at the line ratings on the different rods, this particular one, the Junior Pro from Rapala, is only 4 feet 9 inches long and it's rated from 4 to 12 pound test line. So these other ones are similar. They're a little bit longer, about a foot or 2, but they're still ultralights. And you'll notice that the color of the line is blue or yellow. That's because I'm using a 4 pound test braided line, which is the monofilament line diameter of about 1 pound test. Okay, so the reason I'm using these light outfits with the very low diameter line is because I'm casting these very small jigs. Now you'll also notice that on all 3 rods, I have a fluorocarbon leader. So if I hold this leader that's got the crankbait on it away from the rod, if you look up here, this is clear fluorocarbon. Again, it's light line, 4 pound test. I have a swivel right there, and then that's my connection to my braided line up top. I've done that because my braided line has color to it. So by using a light fluorocarbon leader, I'm going to get away from the fish being able to spot the line. Now on this particular rod, because I was casting lures, like a crankbait sometimes will spiral if it gets tangled up or if it has weeds on it, I put the swivel in there so that it would take any line twisting out. On the other 2 rods that I have here, you'll notice that the connection is a blood knot. So if you look right here, there's no swivel. It just goes from the titanium braid and makes a transition to the fluorocarbon. So that's a blood knot and it's literally invisible. So if you're planning on catching panfish, especially eating size ones, you know, anywhere from about 6 to 13 inches, it really helps to have the right outfit.